Your business could get a great boost from social networking. This is something everyone knows. But social media is also a force to be reckoned with, and if you don't have a team of people constantly watching all of your social channels, you can't know what your fans are saying about your company. This is a good time to use social media sentiment analysis. This video will explain what sentiment analysis is, how it can be tracked, and what it can do for B2B brands. What is an analysis of how people feel on social media? Social media sentiment analysis is the process of figuring out what people really think about your business based on what they say on social media. It is a very powerful tool in your collection of analytical tools. A social media sentiment analysis looks at all of the online reviews, comments, and mentions of your brand and tries to figure out how people feel about it. If your company is active on many social media channels, you may understand why it's hard to keep track of how people feel. Sentiment analysis gives you a more complete picture of how your audience feels about what you post on social media. To analyze your social media presence, you need to do more than just count the number of likes, mentions, and interactions. It goes into great detail about how you feel about everything you say and do. All of this shows how people feel, both positively and negatively, as well as in a neutral way. You can use these opinions to make better, more interesting content for your audience. How does figuring out how people feel on social media work? Sales equipment that uses artificial intelligence looks at what people say to figure out what they really mean. These tools are the best in their field and look at the tone, intent, and emotions of every digital interaction. When you know how your audience feels, it's easier to figure out how well your online presence is doing. With machine intelligence and natural language processing, NLP, it has never been more important to get real client feedback. Technologies scan text to find meanings that are neutral, positive, or both before giving ratings. A social media sentiment study can help you find out how your audience feels about your brand and how they feel about the brands of your competitors. If you don't know what their problems are or what they like about your brand, you won't be able to solve them or build on your successes. Keep your clients happy because 26% of American consumers say that bad customer service is one of the main reasons they don't remember a brand. And by all of your available ways to talk, we mean everywhere, including social media. Especially on social media sites that change quickly, a few bad reviews can quickly turn into a terrible disaster for a brand. So, it's important to do a social media sentiment analysis on a regular basis to stop bad news from spreading. It takes 20 years to build a good name, but only 5 years to ruin it. Warren Buffett said that if you think about it, you'll act differently. Customers don't like to wait a long time for a solution, so a social media sentiment analysis would have stopped things from getting out of hand. In any case, everyone knows that social media can make people feel like they're going crazy, otherwise known as jumping on the bandwagon. If you haven't been living in a digital wasteland, you probably already know that customer loyalty and business success depend more and more on customer happiness and satisfaction. To improve these customer-centered metrics, you need to know how your audience feels and do what you need to do. 5 great reasons to look at how people feel on social media. 1. Make better decisions in business. Use how people feel about things on social media to learn about how your target audience thinks and acts. If you know what problems your audience is facing, you can make products that solve those problems. For example, if you offer UCaaS and your customers are unhappy because you don't have an HD call option, you could use this information to talk to your technical team and ask them to make the changes your product needs. 2. Improve the quality of what you post on social media. When you look at the social media posts that get the most responses from your audience, it's like seeing what's going on in their heads. You'll quickly figure out what to post on social media and what not to post. 3. Don't hurt your company's reputation. Let's say you're in charge of keeping an eye on the quality control of a call center staff that works from afar. By using remote call center management solutions to do a sentiment analysis, you can quickly find out if your customers are getting the service they expect. 4. Optimize your conversion rates more. When your company and its customers treat each other the same way, it helps build brand loyalty. The more loyal they are to you, the more likely they are to buy something from you. 5. Check out the other team. When looking at the competition, sentiment analysis is a great tool. By looking at how your audience feels, you can also see how your competitors' audiences feel. This gives you an advantage when making social media marketing plans. How to figure out how people feel on social media. 1. Find your audience. Find out first where your customers are. The most obvious direct mentions on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are a great place to start. But don't forget about your website, outside sources, and review websites. Step 2. Use tools for figuring out how people feel. Using social listening and sentiment analysis technologies can save a lot of work for people, especially if your business is growing and scaling up because it has a bigger online presence. For easy visualization, tools for sentiment analysis often use color coding, and filters are used to measure social mentions and interactions. Look into sentiment analysis tools that can find relevant mentions that don't really mention your brand and filter mentions by hashtags and keywords. This will give you a more accurate picture of how people feel about your brand. Step 3. Sentence words. To look at how you feel, you need to know what is good, bad, and ugly. Actually, you're looking for positive words like love, thank you, perfect, and amazing, as well as negative words like hate, avoid, and their opposites. Put your feeling phrases into different emotion zones to narrow them down. Look at both words and emojis to get a better idea of how your audience feels about your business. Be careful with sarcasm as a word of advice. For figuring out how people feel, it's best not to depend on machines too much. This is done so that machines can't automatically figure out when something online is funny or mean. Step 4. Look at the information. Do social media sentiment research, often to get a sense of where your company stands. To do this, figure out what your normal is by giving positive, 1, neutral, 0, and negative, -1, interactions in the time period you've chosen numbers from 1 to -1. What are the pros of a social media sentiment analysis? Quick response. Using a social media report template that you make yourself or download, you can measure and analyze how your audience feels. This can tell you right away if your recent social media activity is good or bad. Improved client experiences. By looking at how people interact on social media, you can give better customer service and better answers to people. When you pay attention to your customers, they will appreciate it, which will help you reach your goals. Responses to campaigns on social media. With the help of sentiment analysis tools, it's easy to keep track of how well social media efforts are doing. As you can see below, a simple chart made from your data makes it very clear what people think.